Hello everyone, I am Journey M. Aton, and this time we're going to talk about roles of assessment in learning. But before that, let us have first our objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to number 1, determine the roles of assessment in learning, and number 2, explain the roles of assessment in learning. So in order to achieve our objectives, let us have first an activity. Do you want some activity, class?
Yes, ma'am. Yes po.
Okay, so now let us have an activity. This activity is called Guess Me. Okay, I have here 5 items of information, and what you're going to do is to guess whether the information is a placement assessment or a formative assessment. Am I clear?
Yes po. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So you are just going to raise your hand by clicking the hand button, and I will just call your names. Every correct answer will have 5 points, okay? Let's start. Number 1. It is done at the beginning of the instructions. What is this? Okay, Miss Buntas.
Placement assessment, ma'am.
Very good. You gain 5 points. Okay, second. It is used to determine if the students have already acquired the intended outcomes. What is this? Is it placement or formative? Miss Fuentes.
Placement assessment po, ma'am.
Okay, placement assessment. Very good. You have 5 points. Third one. It mediates the teaching and learning process. Miss Oranza.
Formative assessment, ma'am.
Okay, that's it. Formative assessment. Very good. You have 5 points. Fourth one. It can raise the standards of assessment. Mr. Aljun.
Formative assessment.
Okay, thank you. Very good. That's correct. It's a formative assessment. You have 5 points again. Next, the last one. It is used to determine the entry performance of a learner. Mr. Joey.
Placement assessment po.
Okay, it is a placement assessment. Very good. You gain 5 points. Thank you so much for your cooperation, class. Now, given the activity, can you define what is placement assessment? Miss Antonio.
From the activity given, placement assessment is done at the beginning of instructions and is used to determine if the students have acquired the intended outcomes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Okay, how about the formative assessment? Miss Luna.
From the activity given, formative assessment mediates the teaching and learning process and is used to determine the entry performance of a learner.
Okay, thank you so much. You answered it correctly. Now, we are going to proceed for our proper discussion. So, what is assessment? Do you have any idea what is assessment? Okay, so assessment of learning refers to the strategies designed to confirm what students know, demonstrated whether or not they have met curriculum outcomes or the goals of their individualized programs, or to certify proficiency and make decisions about students' future programs or placements. So there are four roles of assessment used in this instructional process. Miller, Lin, and Gronlard 2019 identified these as functional roles of assessment in classroom instruction. Analogously, Mitko 1994 enumerated these as instructional decisions supported by tests. Okay. So the first role of assessment is the placement assessment. So placement assessment is basically used to determine a learner's entry performance. It is done at the beginning of the instruction. Teachers assesses through the readiness pretest whether students possess prerequisite skills needed prior to instruction. Okay. So, if prerequisite skills are insufficient, then the teacher can provide learning experiences to help them develop those skills. But if the students are ready, then the teacher can proceed with the instructions as planned. So what contain a placement assessment? Okay, a placement assessment contains items that measures knowledge and skills of students in reference to the learning targets. If students do not fare well, the teacher can proceed with the planned instruction. However, if students have already achieved the learning outcomes, then the teacher may advance the students to a higher cognitive level. Okay. The second role of assessment is the formative assessment. Okay. So, formative assessment mediates or connects teaching and learning processes. It is a learner centered and a teacher directed. If in the placement assessment, the instruction is done at the beginning, in the formative assessment, the instruction is done during the discussion. Example for this is muddiest point. So, muddiest point is a technique that can be used to address gaps in learning. This technique consists of asking students at the end of the lesson to scribble down their answer to the question. Another example is the background knowledge probe. So, background knowledge probe is a short and simple questionnaires given at the start of the new lesson to uncover students' preconceptions. From this, we can see that formative assessment is used as feedback to enhance teaching and improve the process of learning. Okay. So there are other types of formative assessment. These are the question and answer during the discussion, assignments, short quizzes, and observations. So there are 8 positive effects of formative assessment. May I ask someone to please read these 8 positive effects of formative assessment? Okay, Miss Hannah. Hannah Ocliasa. Kindly read.
Number 1. Reactivates or consolidate prerequisite skills or knowledge prior to introducing new material. Number 2. Focuses attention on important aspects of the subjects. Number 3. Encourage active learning strategies. Number 4. Gives students opportunities to practice skills and to consolidate learning. Number 5. Provides knowledge of outcomes and corrective feedback. Number 6. Helps students monitor their own progress and develop self-evaluation skills. Number 7. Guides the choice of further learning activities to increase performance. And number 8. Helps students to feel a sense of accomplishment.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Hannah Ocliasa. So those are the positive effects of formative assessment. There are also attributes of an effective formative assessment. So in order for a formative assessment to be effective, it requires the active involvement of students in the learning process through self and peer assessment. Through immediate constructive dialogue and feedback, instructional adjustments are made as appropriate and necessary. Learning opportunities are provided to help students in bridging the gap between their current performance and the articulated learning goals or standards. As partners in the teaching and learning process, a collaborative environment is produced, one that is characterized by transparency, respect, and the appreciation of differences. Okay, do you understand the topic given to you? Okay, again, what is formative assessment? Okay, Miss Asilo, what is formative assessment?
Formative assessment mediates the teaching and learning process and is used to determine the entry performance of a learner.
Okay, thank you. You really understand what is formative assessment. Okay, thank you so much for listening, class, and for your cooperation. This time, to assess whether you understand the topic, whether you understood the topic that I discussed lately, so I will be giving you an activity. This activity is called Define Me. So, what you are going to do is to define briefly or explain briefly the given task that I will be given to you. Send your answers to me via Messenger at exactly 8 a.m. tomorrow. Understood? 8 a.m. tomorrow. Late answers or late submission, well, I will deduct points to it. Okay, understood. Thank you so much, class. You can now go. God bless.